So I want to talk to you today about a problem that has been on my mind for a while recently. It's been really frustrating me. I've been trying to figure out a solution. I haven't come up with anything workable yet, but I wanted to kind of throw this out to the outdoor community and see if there are some ideas out there that we could put forward, just kind of have percolating in the community to see if there's a solution here. So, as many of you know, I was recently in Denver for the Outdoor Retailer Summer Market. I got to do a lot of cool content there that's coming out on the podcast, has already come out on the podcast, some of it. During that trip, I was also able to get out to Rocky Mountain National Park. Now, I didn't know that when I was going to be able to camp because my work schedule was kind of up in the air about when I was going to be able to get to Denver. So I wasn't able to book a reservation in the park out in advance. I got really lucky. A couple days before, I was able to get the one spot that was left in the Moraine campground for a Thursday night. I got the one spot that was available. Then Connor and I got doubly lucky when someone canceled the backcountry permit on Thursday for Friday. So we were able to pick up that permit and do the hike that we wanted. It was the only permit available for Thunder Lake where we wanted to hike. So we got to hike in and spend the night there. Now, that is unheard of. The ranger at the backcountry permit station was shocked that we were able to get anything, let alone what we wanted. So that brings me to what I wanted to talk about today, which is the fact that the National Parks reservation system is broken. Here's what I have noticed, and this is purely anecdotal, but what I have noticed is that a lot of people who book these campsites really, really far out, because they're excited and they want to go, they don't end up showing up at the park. And the reason I can tell you this is that this has happened to me repeatedly at state parks, and then also at Rocky Mountain. There were several campsites in the loop that we were in that were completely empty. Someone didn't show up to claim their reservation, and the campsite was empty. There were two across from us that were empty. No one ever showed up. So as the amount of people who want to get into camping and hiking increases, we're creating scarcity of campsites. There's only so many campsites. Yosemite has 460 campsites and 4 million visitors a year. So everybody who wants to go to Yosemite cannot camp there. The problem is then we end up with at popular parks, we have bots scraping for campsites so they get picked up as quickly as they open up. So if there's a cancellation, it gets snatched up real quick. We don't have a functional waiting list for that, so it's just first come, first serve. And if you're someone who knows how to use a bot, then you can scrape for it. And there'll be a link in the comments to the story about bots scraping for campsite reservations. This problem gets greatly increased when you're trying to get a backcountry permit in one of the national parks. So I can speak from direct experience at Rocky Mountain. I got really, really lucky. The ranger was surprised that Connor and I were able to get the hike that we wanted. So there were 4 campsites in the backcountry up there. One was an equestrian, and then there were 3 big, all the campsites were big, but 3 big, just regular tent camping sites. There was a guy at the equestrian site, and then Connor and I didn't see anyone else at any of the other sites up by Thunder Lake. But they were all booked. There weren't permits for anybody else who wanted to come and hike up that. And what's happening is people are trying to get into the hobby, and they're very excited, and they want to go backpacking. They want to do it. They're excited to go up to this crazy alpine lake. Let's do it. But then they get out there and they start hiking, and it's too hard and they have to turn back. And I know because I've been one of those people. When I went to Big Bend with a couple of friends, we bit off more than we could chew, and we had to turn back and give up. But where that puts us is we have all these sites in the backcountry that are big enough to support multiple parties. Connor and I absolutely could have shared our campsite with another couple of guys, and then there were 2 more campsites on top of that. These sites could absolutely fit 3 or 4 tents. It depends on the site, how much room there is, but we need to have a way that the Park Service is overbooking the backcountry. There's no reason to not overbook it. If you end up having to share a site with someone, make some friends in the backcountry, or spread out a little bit, as long as there's room for people to follow, leave no trace, then there really shouldn't be a problem with overbooking the backcountry, especially when you consider that there's going to be a pretty significant failure rate and a pretty significant no-show rate. Right now, the Park Service seems content to just kind of collect the money for the campsites, and if you don't show up, oh well. And if you show up the day of, well, I'm sorry, all the permits are gone. We can't give you anything. And that really just, it isn't a good system that serves the community. It makes sure the Park Service gets paid, and like they're losing money. So like I'm totally fine not refunding people who don't show up, but sell me the permit because I'm there in front of you. We have to find a way to fix this broken reservation system in a way that doesn't up the price to make it unaffordable for normal people to go out and do some camping over the weekend, and that doesn't keep people who want to get into backpacking or are proficient backpackers and just need a permit to get in. We have to find a way to resolve this issue in a way that serves the community, keeps the parks safe, and really like overbooking the park is really feasible. You could definitely overbook the backcountry and not have a problem. Like I said, every time I've been back there, I've seen empty campsites. I've seen people turning back, giving up. I've turned back and given up. I'm sure most of you have had a problem where you've had to give up and leave a campsite that you reserved. So there has to be a better system. I know that even in Big Bend, when I was down there, we were waiting in line to get our backcountry permit because at Big Bend, you're not able to get them online in advance. And there's 4 or 5 ranger stations that can give backcountry permits in Big Bend. And as I mentioned in the episode about it, we had a park ranger who was not a proficient typer, and we could watch on the reservation system that we could see from the park's Wi-Fi the sites disappearing, and we weren't going to get a site because there were 8 people ahead of us, and he was typing really, really slowly, and obviously the other rangers were typing pretty quick. So like these systems sort of work, they're kind of patched together. We need something that works better. We need outside involvement to fix this, and ultimately the park system probably needs funding to fix this problem. If you have ideas for how to fix the park system's reservations, leave them in the comments below. Let's talk about it. I can put together an episode later. We can write some elected officials, see if we can get some traction on something. Heck, we can write the Park Service and see if they'll take our ideas. So leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think, guys.